Welcome back, Year 9s. Today we're going to look at the simple interest formula, loans and interest, that sort of thing. Has some real-world application, although as you go further up in maths we'll talk about something that's actually more common, which is compound interest. But today we're just talking about simple interest, and the formula for this is I is equal to P times R times T all over 100. Now, this is the amount of interest in dollars. This is the principal. That's the starting amount loaned, borrowed, or invested. This is the rate of interest. And the 100 at the bottom is so you don't need to put a percentage in there. That's associated with the R. So and this is the time invested in years. Okay, so let's get into this. So we've got this chap Andy, and he's got a loan of $200, and we want to know how much interest he would pay in a year. So for Andy, for 1A, we're going to write I is equal to, now the principal in this case is the $200 that he's borrowed. So that's the P. The rate of interest is 10%. So we're going to go 10. We're not putting in the percent because we've got 100 at the bottom here, which is that percent. And then the time is at the end of the year, so it's 1 year. Okay, and when we chuck this into our calculator, what do we get? We're going to have $20 interest. Okay, so $20 interest, and that's how you do that one. Okay, so the next one is B, and for B we're doing much the same thing, except this time the only thing that's changed is the amount of interest. So we've got the $200 principal, that's P, times the 20% interest, times the 1 year. And so double the amount in the previous question, so $40. Now, in question 2 here, in question 1, how much money will be paid back to the bank at the end of the year altogether? Now, in other words, what does he owe? Well, for part A, he owes his original $200 that he borrowed, because that was the bank's money that he borrowed, plus the amount of interest that we found. So it's going to be $220. And for B, it'll be the original $200 that he borrowed from the bank, plus the amount of interest that he was charged, so he would have to pay $240 back. Okay. Number 4. How much interest will the bank pay Tom if he deposits? Okay, so this means he's putting money into the bank. So for 4A, he's depositing $200 for 1 year. Okay, so the amount of interest that he will get is his principal. He deposits $200. He's getting a measly 3% interest, and he's only doing it for 1 year. So when we pop this into our calculator or our head, you can see that he's going to get $6 of interest. B. This time, everything is the same. So he's invested the same amount, the $200, but the interest rate is slightly higher. It's a 4% interest rate, and it's still over 1 year. So if you work that out in your calculator, you're going to get $8. Now, number 5, A. The interest rate at the People's Bank is 4%. How much will Anika have in the bank after 1 year if she deposits $50? Now, be careful here. It says, how much money will she have in the bank? Okay, so let's first work out how much interest she earns. I. Now, her principal in this case is $50. That's $50, and the interest rate is $4 sorry, $4 is 4%, and it's 1 year. Okay, so we're going to pop that over 100, and we find that the interest she earns is $2, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's $2. Okay, so that is not the answer though. Why is it not the answer? Well, because we want to know how much he's got in the bank. So total is going to be the $50 that she had initially in the bank plus the $2 interest, which is equal to $52. Okay, so let's see if we can make a bit more extra space up here. I'll move that up there. Okay, now let's move on to B. Same deal for B. The interest she earns will be the $200 principal multiplied by the 4% interest rate, and it's over 1 year, so times by 1 because T is 1. Divide that by 100, and should be in this case $8. And therefore, the total that she will have in the bank will be the original $200 she has plus the $8 of interest that she has earned, so should be $208. Okay, now let's talk about Layla. So Layla, what do we know about her? We'll move Mr. Khan over here. Okay, what do we know about Layla? Well, Layla has borrowed money to buy a washing machine. Now, just a little hint here. My tip to you, and this is a real life tip that will help you in the future, is never borrow money to buy something that is not going to go up in value. This is just a really, really bad idea, and a bit of wisdom here is do not borrow money from someone else to buy something that you don't need or that isn't going to appreciate or grow in value. So things that grow in value or tends to grow in value are things like land and property, houses, that kind of thing, in the long run, assuming things like population growth. Whereas things like a phone or a car or a washing machine or a PlayStation, these things, you don't borrow money or get them on hire purchase because you don't need them, and you end up losing money over time on them because they depreciate, and you've spent way more money than you need to on those items. So my tip to you in real life, and we can do some examples of this when we get back in school, but just don't borrow money to buy things. Generally save up unless it's going to be an appreciating asset. So obviously get a mortgage to get into the housing market. That's a smart thing to do. But don't buy things on hire purchase. Really bad idea. Okay, so number 6. We've got this washing machine that she's borrowed money for, and she's being charged 12% interest on the loan. And how much will her washing machine cost her if she uses a loan to buy it and pays the bank back after 1 year? So for number 6, again, we have the principal. So the interest will be the principal, which is the amount she borrowed, times the 12% interest rate, and it's 1 year, so times by 1 year, all over 100. Now, what does this give us? 2,500 times 12, divided by 100. That is an interest of $300. And so the total that she pays back is 2,800, because we're going to chuck the original amount that she borrowed plus the interest that she's got to pay together. And as you can see, that $300 is for her having the privilege of borrowing someone else's money to buy a washing machine. So that's $300 that she can't spend on things that she wants because she bought with somebody else's money. So in situations where you need something like a washing machine, and you don't have heaps of money up front, good idea is to try and save up for a little while, buy something cheaper, a second-hand one in the meantime, rather than giving extra money to somebody else for the benefit of borrowing their money. Okay, moving on. We're going to talk about Mr. Khan now. Let's see what we have to say about him. He's put $600 in the bank, and he withdraws it 4 years later. How much does he withdraw? Okay, so first of all, we want to find the interest that he earns. So we've got $6,000, and we times that by the 4% interest rate and the 4 years. So interest rate's 4 years in the bank, and that's our principal there. All over 100, and the interest, therefore, accrued is going to be 6,000 times 4 times 4, divide by 100, and this gives us $960 interest. But how much does he withdraw? He's withdrawing it all, so it's going to be total withdrawn is going to be the 960 plus the 6,000 that he started with. So it'll be $6,960 is the total withdrawn. So he's made near enough to $1,000. That actually seems quite a lot, doesn't it, really? Okay. Now, sometimes you'll get ones that are a bit more tricky, so we're going to look at 11A here. What principal will earn $360 in 3 years at a rate of 6%? Now, sometimes what you know is the interest. So, we know that the interest in this case is $360. So that's I. We don't know the principal, so that's P. We do know the rate of interest and the time. So in this case, it's going to be 360 is equal to P, which we don't know. R times R, which in this case is 6%, times the 3 years over 100. And we're going to have to rearrange our formula. So I'm going to times both sides by 100. So I'm going to get 36000 equals 360 are 18p. And to get p by itself, I divide by 18. And so I should get, I think it's $2,000 there. Okay, so just be aware, you're not a monkey pressing buttons on a calculator. You're a human being with a brain. So make sure you identify the data that you've got in the question. So let's try the same thing again. How many years would an investment take to earn $36 in simple interest on a principal of $300 at a rate of 4%? So the thing that we don't know is the number of years, time. So we know the interest rate. So I is going to be $36. We know that the principal is $300. We know that the interest rate is 4. We know that it is 1 year that we're doing this for. Oh no, we don't. We don't know how many years. That's what we're trying to find. Sorry. Wake up, Mr. K. Over 100. All right, so we can rearrange. So we get 3,600 is equal to 4 times 300 is 1,200. T. And therefore T is equal to 3 years. Finally, E. Again, we're going to look at what we know. What rate of interest? So we don't know the rate, but we know that's $45 interest earned. We know the principal is $750. We know the time is 2 years. Okay, so we chuck it in. $45 of interest is equal to the principal, $750, times the rate of interest, which we don't know, times the 2 years, divide by 100. Next line, 4500 equals now 2 times 750 is 1,500 R. And so R, we divide 4,500 by 1,500, which is 3. So the rate is 3%. Okay, there we go. That is that exercise. I hope that all makes sense to you. Let me know if you've got any questions about it in ThinkWave. Take care.